Hi everybody, I'm Steve and this is Apocalypse Tech on YouTube and the Signs Watcher on Rumble. Now this video will be the seals going forward. I want to take another look at what I've been talking about as far as these seals because of the things that are going on, and I've been getting a lot of this stuff close to being correct, at least something to follow, even though I didn't quite get those the gas falling in April. I didn't get that quite right, but most of all, it looks like I know what I'm doing.
Even God knows what you're doing.
Well, anyhow, I would have got that one at least closer to being correct, but the new leadership in Iran, 2 times removed, because everything is so decimated, they're having a hard time getting all their talking points out to the rest of the IRGC, so everyone else kind of knows what's supposed to be going on. But otherwise, I think it's going to get better.
Things just get better or worse?
So based on the last video where I'm explaining about the seals possibly being resolved in reverse, I need to go over them again, and I want to show you what they might look like with different set of circumstances going forward. Now the first one is Revelation 6, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were were the noise of thunder, one of the 4 beasts saying, "Come and see." Now remember, when you read that, it says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of them, and they only heard one of the 4 beasts saying, 'Come and see.' And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow." Now, I think the white horse would represent medical, scientific, because those guys always wear white coats. Everything is associated with white. But the bow is a string with 2 loops. So what makes the bow a bow is the string with 2 loops. It's used to tie shoelaces and for decorative ribbons used to secure and enclose. So in this case, the 2 loops were to secure and enclose. "And a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer." And that crown, a single crown, would be known as a corona. So I just want to go over these 2 here lightly to show you that the 3, "And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say," now we're getting more specific, a second beast. For example, the first beast was like a lion, and the second beast like a calf, here in Revelation 4. "Come and see, and there went out another horse that was red." Now, I used to think that that was possibly the war in Ukraine and the red being communism, but I'm not sold on that at all anymore. It just never got big enough. Plus, it has another place in the Bible, especially under Revelation 13, being the foot of a bear. "And power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword." So if that horse is red, that could be about the blood. So the sword would be which brings us right up to the fact that little thing could be such a mighty sword, and it makes us arrive here at the 3rd seal. "And when he had opened the 3rd seal, I heard the 3rd beast say," that's the 3rd beast. Let's see, Revelation 4, "the second beast like a calf, and the 3rd beast had the face of a man." Now, those in Revelation 4 don't actually mean anything, but those are 4 constellations that you would find if you went to above the North Pole to Polaris, and 4 different sections of the space. You would find 4 different constellations, and the one would have the face of a man. That helps determine where an eclipse could be. This is watchful from the 2 Witness channel. This is his theory, and I think it's a good one. But that these eclipses, when they come out in these certain areas, this is going across, if you was to look up, into that constellation, which would indicate that seal being open. And I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. Now, I'm never going to waver on this. I don't think I'll ever waver on this. That black horse represents the petrodollar, so it's all about oil.
100,000 Iraqis to save a nickel on a gallon of gas are going to lecture me about the rules of war? Don't!
Don't.
Don't!
Don't. Don't. Don't.
Libtards, eh? They always make the dumbest arguments.
Don't!
And I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou not hurt the oil and the wine, something that the wealthier would be enjoying. But I've said for the longest time, to measure those two things with a set of balances, one thing you have to do is reset them. And since this is such a great thing, it was all with the great reset that they had been planning. And so since you got a second beast say, we're going to involve Europe. And that is exactly where the beast went, because it is the mouth of the lion, the body of a leopard, and the foot of a bear. And that represents going across Europe. But even though it started with my 7-head, 10-horn beast, starting with Lyndon Johnson and ending with Trump, with Biden being that little horn, or in Revelation 13:2, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. That makes this guy, the one who gave it to him, and as Trump has said many times, we were a dead country. Now, as it were back then, I had second seal and third seal written right here, and wouldn't you know it, it's right here where the October 25th eclipse and the blood moon over the midterm elections in 2022, but we took them 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, and we arrived here at the eclipse this last February, and the blood moon on Purim, March 3rd. Long story about that, but that is when this third horse either began going forward or it's regressing. So as you can see, I do get things correct on this channel, even though I miss a few things here and there, like the oil prices, the gas prices hasn't fallen yet, but I believe they will. All of us watchmen get some things wrong, but this channel in particular, is systematically getting things right. So you should hear what they say about me.
He's intelligent, but not experienced. His pattern indicates two-dimensional thinking.
Some religious nut job bent on Armageddon.
But remember, I do get some help and I do get some input from others, especially Tennessee Craig, who does give me a lot of other things to look at and finds a lot of things for me. And sometimes we don't always look in the same direction or have the same feeling about something, but primarily we agree on most everything.
You know, you guys are out there like fucking Pluto, man. You're gone.
That's what they say.
But I hat tip others who have good information, like I told you about Watchful earlier, and you might hear another one or more later to make sure other people get credit where credit is due. The one thing that you need to know is that, yes, I do use some movie clips and stuff. Mostly learned how to do that because of the censorship we went through in the first presidency of Donald Trump and through the Biden years to hide a lot of my message. But the other thing is that you'll just plain find out that this channel can be a little bit different.
No different. Only different in your mind. You must unlearn what you have learned.
So let's take another look at that third seal. So remember, I had what I thought was the third seal, actually the fourth seal coming close to this, but the third seal had already come out by this midterm election, but even Watchful has it clear back here in 2021. I don't really think it's that far, but I do think it's in this area. But 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days brought us to this Iran war now. So if the first one was launched December 26th, 2019, and then the second one was launched December 14th, 2020, and we get the third one launched, what Watchful had was here, I just think there's more to it, because Rittenhouse trial under this blood moon was when peace was taken from the earth at one point, plus we had Ukraine happen. But again, that's also the foot of a bear. So my feeling is more and more that this is when the third seal had already been opened. So we go that 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. And is it possible that the third seal could have started here? I mean, let's face it, the magnitude of the first seal, and everybody, the world was conquered. Everybody ended up putting on that mask one way or another. And then the second seal, everybody, peace was taken from the earth. People were demanded to take that shot. We're not safe unless we're all safe, all that other stuff. Person against person, it was definitely created a lot of unrest between the peoples. And so the third seal, if I have it for somewhere after around the midterms, or it was the yoke between on the Atlantic Council or Atlantic Charter between England and the United States. I don't think it's either one of those. I had the WEF with their quest for global warming and reducing the petrochemical use, which would also reduce the fertilizer production. And we've seen that. And this main headline right here, protesters abandon seized palace with Sri Lanka in limbo. And this was dated the 14th of July, 2022. People were beginning to starve, and food production went south quickly in that country. And as it so happens, the same as that writing, July 14th was a supermoon, and I had the abomination because that is when Biden and Yair Lapid signed additional documents between each other, sharing all this technological information while these things are going on. And if you can remember the Dutch farmer and a lot of these other farmers, especially in Europe, starting to rise up because they didn't have the fertilizer, that is why I think a penny for a measure of wheat and 3 pennies for a measure of barley, I think that is why that was occurring then. But if not, this one does with what's going on in Iran, with the yoke between the United States, Israel, and Iran, that what's going on with the Strait of Hormuz does look even bigger.
Farmers have been hammered for years for the skyrocketing fertilizer prices that happened, remember, after COVID, diesel costs that have taken their profit margin and just squeezed everything out of it, supply chain chaos, one hit after another hit after another hit has kept these guys barely hanging on. And now we have another fertilizer hit, and now pile the drought on top of that. The math is brutal. Math is math. Food costs are going up, and not a little, a lot. Beef, grains, produce, everything that comes from the fields all across our fruited plain, it's going to cost more at the grocery store, and it's coming sooner and faster than most people want to even admit.
Yeah, so you can't see whether this third seal is coming or going. It looks to me like it's going because a lot of this stuff is lining up with what I've been warning about, that mark coming, which is Revelation 13:16. And he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Now remember, I keep saying that be aware. How do you know that the mark comes from a bad guy, that maybe it's from somebody good trying to do good things, but maybe not, by reading this. Revelation 19:20, and the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast. Didn't necessarily say he gave it to them, but they received it, and them that worshipped his image, so you had to worship it, and that these both were cast alive into the lake of fire burning with brimstone. So if we're either going backwards with the seals or forwards, and I do think, I still say we're going in reverse. These are being taken apart and righteousness is prevailing. I've showed you that in the last couple videos about the righteousness that's going to continue to be carried out, but we are going to go through some rough patches getting there, and this is one thing, and then bringing out this mark could be the other one, but I still want to continue going in the same direction, because we are at war, and part of war, like it says here, Iran releases another Lego animation mocking Trump.
Hey, Orange Pig, America first? Oops. Oh boy, that was the slogan you stole. But
that's right. So there's things that are going to come out, and there's going to be other avenues of war like cyber attacks, and you don't know which direction those things are going to come from. And some of those have already taken place, but there is a war going on in the middle of all this. Because it didn't take long for this post to be taken over by Iran. They'll even show you Jesus coming after throwing Trump into hell.
And here now is the next voice. Tell me, is this an Iranian or is this a Democrat?
We are law-abiding people. We're not lawless like President Trump. He is destroying the U.S. Constitution. He's destroying the U.S. political process. He's destroying the rule of law in the United States.
You tell me. That again is the Iranian Foreign Minister Zavi Zaref or whatever. You tell me the difference between these guys and the Democrats.
Rush Limbaugh today talking about the reaction from the left in a number of quarters to the death of Qasem Soleimani, who is unmistakably responsible for the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands of Americans, thousands of other people of all ethnicities and backgrounds, but including, yes, American lives. Here's what Rush Limbaugh said today in talking with the president about reaction.
In the past 2 or 3 days since the attack on Soleimani, you literally have the Democrat Party and elements of that party openly supporting Iran, an enemy of the United States, openly supporting the terrorist actions of that country. And this
oh yeah, this has been going on with the TDS and the way the Democrats have been acting for a long time.
MMIW G2SLGBTQQIA+.
Yeah, like a pony, I'm a pony, I'm a pony. Don't you feel like a pony? Don't you feel like a pony?
Of MMIW G2SLGBTQQIA+.
Again, libtards. What are you gonna do?
Don't!
Now, many Bibles will state, as far as the third seal goes, where it says the coming famine or a famine. I kind of always disagreed with that. I always said that it was a manipulation of the money, manipulation of that petrodollar, that a number of things were going to happen because see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. However, it does look like there's going to be a great amount of food shortage and things are going to get very expensive, but it also affects the money.
Attack on Marquise, a financial services firm based in Texas, has led to the personal data theft of more than 670,000 individuals this August 2025. The breach also brought about operational disruptions at 74 banks across the United States.
And here we have the European. Now this is where the beast is. It's the mouth of the lion, the body of a leopard, the foot of a bear. The European Digital Finance Conference, Future of Banking, AI, Platforms, and Digital Transformations. And because there was one cyber attack that caused Scott Bessent, our Secretary of the Treasury, to go back to Washington and meet with some high-ranking bank officials and the Trump administration about some cyber attack that happened. Also, they're looking at Trump administration drafting order to require citizenship proof for U.S. bank accounts. Now, that was the one thing I said that this also could be the mark. Again, I try to show you every piece that I can find, regardless, even though Trump and Netanyahu are my two witnesses, and I have lost a subscriber. Part of her adamant protest was my two witnesses, among other things that I was saying, but again, she stayed the very long time because I was hitting a lot of things most people weren't. But save that, again, Netanyahu got vaccinated. That's visual proof of that. Trump says he was, but among other things, with the foul language and things that he's done, there's a lot of people that will go against that these two witnesses aren't it, but they still are. However, I have to show you all facets.
I just get tired of malevolent bullshit history being shoved down our kids' throats so they believe government is going to come and save you one day and they're like the benevolent puppet master. Cut the strings, man. Do your own homework.
And so, because you will know them by their fruit, that Trump is actually trying to sever those strings to get that even so it isn't even a question. But you can't trust the government.
The other side does the mean, angry, demagoguery, divisive politics. That's their home court. Yeah. To all the young people out there, as well as those of you who consider yourselves young at heart, I want you to stay angry. I want you to stay frustrated.
And we'll get to what Satan did through Obama later, but you will know them by their fruit. And again, don't trust the government.
I need is something so scary it'll clear 300 square miles of every living Christian soul.
So more petrodollar cause and effects, as I have a vacation planned in Ireland late in the summer. And now we have more Britons opt to holiday in the UK this summer amid uncertainty over flights. Yeah, we've been getting notices with our flights, and one person's flight has already gone up. But we're getting late in these prophetic days. Again, I'm thinking this is heading more towards the mark and reversing the third seal, but I just wanted to let you see that there are some things that the third seal claim and are looking like they're right on the horizon, that we could still be going in that direction. So I want to get you to that fourth seal, what it could look like if it hasn't opened yet, and there is a possibility for that. So I wanted to give you all of that because, quite frankly,
when people set their hearts on what they want in opposition to what God says is best for you, there will come a time that God says, all right, I'm going to give you what you want, but you're not going to like it. I'm going to give you what you want to teach you what you want is not what you need. And so I believe, Glenn, I'm convinced of this, that what we are seeing is this strong delusion that is being sent to people who do not love the truth. You, I believe, are a lover of truth.
So now remember, I went through that with the 6th and 7th seal video, showing you the algorithm of the 3 years, 3 months, 3 week, and 3 day, plus the 6 years, 6 month, 6 week, and 6 day, and how you can use this to try and forecast some of this for yourself, so you can come up with different destinations than what I have. That's fine. I just, like I said, I want to share the information. I don't want you following me because I can't get you there. You're the only one that can get you there. But to revisit what I was showing, on October 25th through September 8th or November 8th, we had eclipse and blood moon. This was all elections. There was an election in China, This eclipse was over Ukraine, Russia. The Netanyahu was reinstated on the 1st of November as prime minister, and we had our midterms, and you go 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, and we end up February 16th of this year. And March 3rd, the blood moon was the 3rd year in a row for a blood moon on Purim. So on a specific date in the Hebrew calendar, that is just, it's unheard of. And as far as I know, the last time one of those had happened was during the crucifixion of Jesus. But what did I say then? That this is going to end up becoming political events. And on this particular day, they began to meet as far as UN Security Council on trying to come up with a resolution over Ukraine, but also this blood moon. And I said this was going to become a political thing, and it looks to me like it's going to be some sort of government application, possibly going towards the mark. Because the big thing that started to happen was the Save America Act, that we had to have a voter ID bill passed, and it's still a political football because of those rhino dumbass Republicans. Yep, that's all we're going to get. It's a big knife in the back from somebody like a John Thune or any one of those other Republicans. But since that last video and the 6th and 7th seal, we've had the birthright citizenship come up. And that's been around for some time, but that's also compounding, making it look like some sort of identification is going to come down the road.
Well, he wants to change the amendment so that people who are born here cannot get citizenship.
Yeah, see, this is, I understand this is something that people misunderstand. That's not in the Constitution. There's no, the 14th Amendment, there's nothing in the Constitution says that if you are born to an illegal immigrant in America that you are an American citizen. It's not there. People think it is. They confuse it with being born to an American citizen in America or overseas. But there's nothing in the law, nothing in the Constitution, there's not even a Supreme Court decision that says that if you are born to an illegal, you're an automatic citizen.
So it is my opinion that these, like this one here, August 21st, 2017, a total solar eclipse crossing an entire continent, that these supersede a lot of these other, even though they tell a story, they supersede as far as 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, and we had one that crossed the southern tip of South America on December 14th, 2020, and another 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, we had another major total solar eclipse across North America, across the continent, forming the X, but these kind of supersede. So in this one, if we go another 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, we will get to a major eclipse, but does not necessarily cross a continent. It does the northern part of Africa, but mostly the Mediterranean Sea, which is kind of an interesting location. But again, that would be 9 years, 9 months, 9 weeks, and 9 days to that August 21st, 2017 eclipse. Long story short, I'm just telling you that righteousness, even though we have these other blood moon and eclipses, that righteousness is going to continue, at least as far as the United States is concerned, where the X was formed, that righteousness will continue at least until that August eclipse that's in the Mediterranean in 2027. So from that point all the way back, all these years, that from here, this last one set we had, these tell another story about other things that are going on. So, for example, on the same day that Virginia has a vote where they're going to try to basically steal seats from the Republicans in the upcoming midterm elections, that's going to backfire. You're doing this to one of the two witnesses. Every time you try to do something to one of the two witnesses, it backfires. Okay, so calm your heels on this. That's going to backfire, and already a judge has thrown it out. But on the same day, the Justice Department announces indictments against the Southern Poverty Law Center. The purpose of the SPLC, as Mays Moore here posts up, that SPLC has been indicting for paying extremist groups to manufacture the hate and racism that it claims to exist to oppose. This is true, absolutely stunning news, and it breaks down so many of the left's narratives. See here, the white supremacist Charlottesville, most of you probably already know this. This is kind of old news already. Just makes the dumbest political hoax in American history even more ridiculous. And then there was this one, misled again. Ran as Trump claims Tehran to execute 8 women. And now this has been a stay of execution so far, as we know. Again, they have a big problem with their infrastructure, so they're claiming that this isn't going to happen. This one girl here in particular is considered a virgin. So just the reason why I brought that part up is I wanted to throw my hat into the ring about Pope Leo. I think he's a fraud, in my opinion. I don't care if you're Catholic, you deserve better. You just do. He has said nothing. The reason why I pointed that woman out, and the fact that she's a virgin, that when she was found guilty and to be executed, if a woman dies in their religious belief and she dies a virgin, she automatically goes to heaven. So they first have to gang rape her before she is executed, and Pope Leo has said nothing about that, amongst all the many other things that he should have. And if you don't believe me, look up Tom Holman, what he thinks, and he's Catholic, about what he thinks about it. So now the reason for this video is, are we going through these seals forward and not backwards? I don't believe so. I believe that's the mark, and one of the biggest reasons why is we're coming up here on August 12th. We're going to have an eclipse and a blood moon about 15 days later, and they are 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days from this April 20th, 2023 eclipse. Now, that one, 3 days before or 3 days after, I can't remember, but the 3-day period was when the mask mandate at the airports and all of the government places were lifted, so people's identity was back on to be revealed. And then, of course, the WHO lifting of the pandemic. Now, remember, I told you I always give credit, hat tips to who it is. Now, Gerald Badalamento has his channel, and he's completely different results of what this one is, but I do believe he's got this one accurate. He has it for the Abomination of Desolation. I don't think so. It is the 2300 evenings and mornings. I do believe he's got that one correct. But I don't know about the complete Abomination of Desolation. He has Trump as the bad guy, the little horn. I mean, everything. But he could be right. So if you want to follow, you can follow. But he's just got a lot of other stuff where he's missing information. But again, these two, 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, are down here. And again, it's about identification and lifting of that mask mandate and the WHO of that pan-plandemic. Now that is when I believe that the mark, or at least legislation for it, again, this is before our next midterms that'll be coming up. So there's going to be, they're going to try to rush some legislation through. Now that mark may not come out of the United States. It may come out of Europe, and it looks there's a number of things. I've already showed you a couple emails. There are things going on over there where identification and everything is very noticeable, but the way they're playing this third seal oil being changed over. They're making, again, see thou not hurt the oil and the wine. They are reserving that for themselves, grounding flights, making their own people suffer because they're hesitant about getting involved with any of this stuff. And it's going to end up backfiring, at least for now, on them. But the point I've been trying to get to is if we are going forward on these seals, then I got to show you what I think is enhancing the fourth seal.
It was terrible, Tom, to both walk and walk, up one wave and down another, walking the boat, walking. Oh, the putty cat's turning Dwayne again.
Revelation 6:7, and when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, and here the fourth beast was like a flying eagle. Again, like Watchful has, any one of these eclipses comes out of that quadrant where that flying eagle may have been. It's just that there's more than one eclipse like that. Come and see, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, green, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him, and power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Now, most watchmen will have Hamas as that of what they did in Israel, and yeah, there are some markings that make it look like that could be accurate. I had something a little bit different from that. Again, remember, 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days, we got back to that midterms. There was something else that happened. We had a comet, and here that comet came out, started paralleling Earth 40 days, and then it turned green, and that has died suddenly. It already started, but that's when it became prevalent. Eventually, that Buffalo Bills guy collapsed on the field. So that was part of the scripture being revealed. The timing of it maybe not so great. And then just being a small area, Hamas has a great meaning, a large meaning to it biblically. And it goes all the way back to the people that surrounded the ark for Noah. And so there are things that you could say is that, but of beasts of the field and all the other stuff, it doesn't quite live up to snuff, but most everybody has gone with that, or is that one possibly coming? So remember, from here to August, I'm telling you, we're going to have more legislation. Things are going to step up to get to that midterms, because that's going to be a joke if something isn't set in stone before then. The Supreme Court's got things before them, and we'll get to that. But then in February of next year, on the 6th and then the 20th, is 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days from the Hamas attack. And the Hamas attack was 7 days before that annular eclipse. Now, that annular eclipse was over North America. It's about the only annular one that went through an entire continent. And you will find mention of that eclipse heavily on my first, or at least my second warning. It's a short that you can find. So if we're getting remnants of the third seal, which is what I got written here, and then we're getting close to what this the pandemic and the fourth seal, we could be seeing this still going in reverse. It's just, if you look at these seals, there's no time limit on any of these things. They're opened and they may continue on, so we could still be going reverse or forward or both. But to let you know how desperate people must be getting to give the mark out, think about it. If there is a fourth seal that becomes even more prevalent, so let's say it did open during the Hamas attack, or even before that, and it's still going on, we're going to get the remnants, and it's really going to ramp up. This is going to make a lot of watchmen, even myself, it's going to make us look, our credibility is going to be at stake for this. And I know all of us, our viewership has been declining. Of course, I'm getting hit from Europe, and YouTube has been kind of taking my name out. I've got people that were subscribed and they can't find me. I don't understand. There's 3 people now that said, I can't find your channel, and I'm subscribed. It's like, I don't know how you have to, again, they may not be the best YouTubers out there. You go on and find out who you're subscribed to, and then you can go that way. They're not going to take that down. It's just they don't get the emails, they don't get notifications, they don't get anything anymore. So I'm sure a lot of you out there just instantly go and check, maybe daily, on your uploads or the people you're subscribed to. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I'm kind of being shadow banned in many different ways, especially on YouTube. My Rumble account has been coming and going, so there's been things there. It has gone downhill, but again, things are going well to a point, and not as many people are going to be looking. But if you look back at the 6th and 7th seal video, I did this example of World War I having an eclipse on August 21st, just like the one we have. And guess what? 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days on the December 14th of 2017, 3 days after General Allenby went into Jerusalem, there was another eclipse. And 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days before that, there was another eclipse. So this is a very repeat pattern. I hope some of you guys have understood that algorithm is not something to be thrown away. But also, I've had several videos on these trumpets, taken all of them down except for one, and that doesn't necessarily cover the entire thing of my trumpets, but it kind of reinstates the things I was talking about, especially with the 5th trumpet. So I'm going to review those quickly on this particular video here, because I do think they play every bit of what's coming. So remember, my theory about these trumpets are here in Revelation 10 and on the last verse, and he said unto me, thou must prophesy again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. There are so many parallels about my first 6 trumpets that I have on this board, starting at World War I, that even Tennessee Craig sometimes tells me, how do you know they're going to blow again and not just the 7th one? He does have a point, because that is kind of what I'm getting to, that we're not going to see exactly the same thing. We've already seen a lot of this to the letter, and I'll show you that. So I've already explained the significance of the first trumpet and what happened then, but the second one I have is World War II. So I showed you this in another video that I had. It's no longer up, but mapping the sunken ships of World War II shows all throughout where all these sunken ships, all of them, okay? So the scripture says 1/3 of all ships, and this is a map of all the ships that were sunk to the bottom of the ocean by the end of that war. But if you want to get into all of the information, if you ask about 1/3 of all ships, it'll tell you no, that's false, that didn't happen. But it's not calculating the correct amount. While it says here more than 20,000 ships were lost, that's 20,000. How many do you think they actually had? At one point I saw somewhere in the area of about 66,000. So 20,000 says more than, it's pretty close to 1/3. So to show you why the evolution of man, this had a lot of chemical warfare. Hitler began doing a lot of experiments and whatnot on people, the different kinds of warfare that was done then, and then the Operation Paperclip of bringing these people over here. But then we get to that third trumpet, which I have for Chernobyl. But I'm not the only one that has it here. Images of the third angel statue at Chernobyl. There she is. And of course, it says a star falls, and the name of that star is Wormwood. Well, Wormwood means Chernobyl, so what is Wormwood, and what does it do to absinthe? And this is a cocktail. So it says here, despite its resurgence in modern cocktail movement through drinks like the Sazerac, there's no getting around absinthe's reputation as a hallucinogenic liquor. And you can look it up as far as wormwood and absinthe. It is also known as the Green Fairy. Now that parallel as far as then and now, that's in Ukraine. And then we had the fourth trumpet, which I have for the Berlin Wall. This is a realignment of the Soviet Union to biblical Russia. And that formed a barrier between what we had then and how NATO got formed, having the NATO line from the old Iron Curtain. Okay, so that's where we have the parallel. Again, that Revelation 10, there might be something to that. Because what we ended up with now in Ukraine is a lot of these labs. I have it here during the Satan-controlled Obama years for Black & Veatch building its lab in Ukraine. Says here, Black & Veatch plays vital role in biological threat reduction program. This one here, project name Ukraine. Says here, Senator Rubio back then questions Undersecretary Newland over biolabs in Ukraine.
Well, I only have a minute left. Let me ask you, does Ukraine have chemical or biological weapons?
Look up and to the
Ukraine
left.
has biological research facilities, which in fact we are now quite concerned Russian troops, Russian forces may be
Oh yeah, it's their fault. I'm a Democrat.
gain control of. So we are working with the Ukrainians on how they can prevent any of those research materials from falling into the hands of Russian forces.
Yeah, that's why I was always nervous about Rubio. He's been just knocking the ball out of the park as the Secretary of State, but that seemed to be a little shady. And of course, you know that my fifth trumpet was the invasion of Kuwait, or at least by Saddam. It says here, Saddam. Now, Saddam means to collide, causing great destruction, and Saddam Hussein, in the pursuit of great destruction, he had many different military conquests and weapons of mass destruction and chemical warfare. I mean, you go to my lessons video, and that is, a lot of that is dedicated in there. Believe me, if you go to the video lessons, you will see in depth a lot of things, a lot of the chemical, biological warfare that was going on. I mean, remember anthrax? That's where you get an envelope and all of a sudden there's a white powder in it. That's where all that stuff comes from. So there was a lot of things. And another thing is how some other things got started as H.W. Bush took over. Okay, so when that Operation Desert Storm started, George H.W. Bush gave the Patriot Missile Guidance Enhanced Missile System to the Israelis to help protect them in case Saddam had launched any one of those massive destruction-type missiles that he had, the Scud missile, towards Israel. And he did launch a few things, but nothing ever came out about it. But the big thing was giving them this, which was made by Raytheon, and Raytheon means the light of the gods. And later on, Israel decommissions the U.S.-made Patriot air defense system because artificial intelligence got started. It was taken over by Rafael, a company over there, Advanced Defense Systems, where it began to go into the AI controls. This is the first time we've had any kind of weaponry that was AI driven. And here in Revelation 9:4, concerning this fifth trumpet, and it was commanded them that they should not hurt the grass of the earth, neither any green thing, neither any tree, but only those men which had not the seal of God in their foreheads. Now, I have taken a lot of heat for some of that because some of that may not necessarily be fulfilled. But again, I think that's a kind of a two-parter with the possible trumpets coming out again, which I've showed you that in the 6th and 7th seal video. But something I didn't really necessarily show you was the Archangel Raphael. Now, this could be one of the fallen angels. I've done plenty of things on this, but he was known as the healer. So when you have the two snakes on the medical symbol, one would be the serpent and the other one would be possibly this one because he's known as the healer. But he's also known as the little green spark. Again, I've been saying that for a long time. I just want you to look at it. I'm not pointing fingers at any one particular angel.
Because she liked it. Britta's got their mother a marble angel with her finger pointing.
At who?
Nobody. Pointing up like this.
All right, then, a marble angel. Does it have to be an angel? I don't have too much in common with angels.
Oh, besides, take the Ritta's angel. Some kid shot her finger off, and after that, it looked like she was just shaking her fist. Ooh.
Heaven's got a sense of humor, right? So Raphael forms the Iron Dome out of what was originally the Patriot missile system. And now here in 2010, Obama okays $205 million. We began funding the Iron Dome. Again, the Iron Dome is an Israeli mobile all-weather air defense system developed by Rafael Advanced Defense Systems and Israel Aerospace Industries. The system is designed to intercept and destroy short-range rockets, artillery shells fired from distances of 4 to 70 kilometers away, and it's gotten even greater since then, and some of it turning towards, because Biden and Yair Lapid, who was then the Prime Minister of Israel, shared this information. Lockheed Martin and Rafael Advanced Defense Systems, so it's come back to America to collaborate on a high-energy laser system. And it says here that the weapons, high-energy laser systems weapons in the U.S. and Israel became known as Iron Beam. And right now Trump has already done an executive order to form Iron or Golden Dome out of that technology. Some of this is also known as the Golden Dome North American Shield, and that is where Kristi Noem went to oversee this, and she was replaced. So you see, there was a lot of knowledge of biological, all kinds of different things that we picked up. A lot of it we created ourselves, again, through Raytheon, to the Patriot missile, to Iron Dome, to now we have it back here, and now it's a weapon. And then we get to our sixth trumpet from then was ISIS or ISIL. Now, as far as my opinion here, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, also known the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, or ISIL, the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, ISIS, and its Arabic acronym of DAESH. And this old story of the U.S., Trump adamant that Obama founded DAESH, and I believe that's 100% true. And as you see here, Trump calls General Mark Milley an effing idiot over the Afghanistan withdrawal because he left all those planes and equipment over there. Now, one of the things you might want to remember is the first seal is COVID. And I have gone over this about it starting possibly in North Carolina, Chapel Hill to be specific, a guy named Ralph Barrick. And they may have discovered this, and the Pentagon came in, possibly DARPA, and moved it to another location known as Wuhan, and I've gone over that time and time again, moving that over to China, where China, once Trump was in there, said that it was U.S. soldiers that brought it in, and Trump never let that go about blaming our soldiers, but it was the Pentagon that may have moved that, and part of that would have been Mark Milley, who continued with that back channel once Trump lost the election. As I showed you, the head wounded to death, Mark Milley continued that back channel talk with China. There's one person of all the people on my list that I want to see brought up on treason and dealt with. Mark Milley would be the one. So Trump says that Obama founded ISIL, and I believe he did. He knew very well what all these things meant. But that brings us up to today now, that we're at war with Iran and these things are going on. And that is also on Satan's list. Again, we had the Iran peace deal that was thrown out. I mean, we've got, like here, we had a total solar eclipse, and that matched up with other ones. I mean, you can't just beat this stuff, that God was watching everything that he was doing while he was in office. But all 6 of those trumpets had something to do with either technology, mass destruction, and concoctions that we may have been using for experiments. And so what was in that shot, that vaccine for the COVID, the first seal, how all this stuff got started. So we have today here, this is January 6, 2026, makers of Bayer aspirin are suing COVID vaccine makers over mRNA technology. It says here, since Bayer bought out Monsanto's patent infringement, the company's copied technology developed by Monsanto in the 1980s for strengthening mRNA crops in order to stabilize the genetic material in their vaccines. So this long point that I've been trying to make is that all those trumpets came out. There was always something in there, especially with the ones in Ukraine, the 3rd trumpet, the 5th trumpet. There's all kinds of stuff leading up to what was that was in that vaccine. What did they come up with all the technologies and all the things they did? And then they ended up hurrying up because they wanted to use, they ended up hurrying it with genetically modified systems that they used for plants to speed it up while Trump was being removed from office in favor of Biden. So just for the sake of argument, again, are we going forward with the seals, or are we reviewing them backwards and we're coming up to the mark, the beginning of the mark? Because when we get here, and this is 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days from Hamas and the other stuff, we could be seeing a blow up of that 4th seal, but also a reason to have the mark, because if there was something in there and some of these people have it in their bodies, and all of a sudden now something comes a-calling, something triggers it, and we see what we see in the 4th seal. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. And hell followed with him. Now we're seeing enough of that with TDS. And power was given unto them over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. And of those people, you might want to give them a mark, because they need to be found out. So now I want you to know I may have a couple shorts come out of this, but I'll take a week or so, maybe a little more than a week, to release them, because they're going to be here at the end of this video. I may cut another one. I doubt it, but I wanted to get a couple of these things because I want some of this message to get out, and hopefully somebody will help me get this to go a little viral. So get people to watch this and then eventually watch the others. One of the things they need to know when they come in here is there is a set of videos that shows you that God maybe is approving how I've been able to line this stuff up, interpret some of this stuff. So if you was to come in here and want to know how I know some of these things, then you go to, did I hear the word Jonah, then first warning, then second warning, then the silence, and then did you hear the noise? And then if you are convinced that maybe this channel knows something that others don't, then you check out the 6th and 7th seal, because that gives you the information of what I believe God was trying to help me get. Now, my interpretations and how they translate to things going on, they could be wrong, and that's the point. I'm trying to get you to do it for yourself. So that's why I need you to know that. But I also you may hear at the end where I'll say something like, so check out the full-length video. So that's what I'm going to do, and so if I can get these in about 90 seconds, I want to do a couple of shorts that's going to be right at the end of this. So Satan, through Obama, created certain things like COVID that was created, and the patenting system then that caused people to cover themselves, just like here in Genesis 3, where they ate the fruit, saw that they were naked, and made figs. The first one of which was handed out here on December 14th, 2020, 40 days after the election, exactly 3 years, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days from the August 21st, 2017 eclipse. The same as which here in Genesis 3:15, about him inputting the seed, a seed in the woman, making Eve the surrogate mother, making Satan the father and mother, so there's your transgender, causing Bayer's Monsanto suing the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine makers, which compares to what happened here, Genesis 6, the marriage of Cainites and Sethites, and the race degenerates, because God had already set forth that the Cainites would have to be born again, and it says here, and I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head, because he needs to be born again, and it shall bruise his heel. But now with the vaccines that we have, who knows what is in that blood system and our DNA. So check out the full-length video. So Jesus reset the path, being on the cross and the blood sacrifice, because he was the 77th descendant through Seth and had to have a pure virgin birth with Mary, who was the 76th, which is why Jesus says in John 3:5, Jesus answered, Verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of God, because there was no longer, here Genesis 6, any pure lineage of the Cainites and the Sethites. And so today we have Bayer's Monsanto sues mRNA COVID-19 vaccine makers because we no longer have a pure blood, and this will hasten the Lord's return. And for more, you should check out the full-length video. Well, that's it, then that's what I have. If those didn't come out, then you won't see any shorts, so I wouldn't worry about it too much. But if they come out, they didn't quite go the way I thought. I had them written out, I thought, pretty well, but they didn't go quite the way I wanted them to. Computer starts acting up. I think I was getting hacked or something was going on. I don't know what it was. But anyhow, that's it I got for now. I just wanted you to look at it because these, I think this fourth seal, these things aren't over with yet. I mean, the COVID wasn't necessarily over with. We keep waiting for a rebirth of something to happen with that, the shot. If that's what the second seal was, the third seal, obviously that we're seeing remnants and things going on about that. The fourth seal, I believe we're under the fifth seal. I believe that's going to continue for a little while longer. And then, of course, if you check out my sixth and seventh seal video, you will see how I've got everything lined up and to continue on longer than that. Those trumpets should blow again, but Tennessee Craig says maybe they won't. Maybe this sixth seal, and they will know that the clouds are unrolling. I don't know. I think the demons on the earth, like the fallen angel of Satan, who is now Obama, he'll know exactly who it is getting ready to come. That's what the sixth seal is. We still have things that we're going to have to go through. But until the next time, if you've made it this far, the peace of Christ be with you. Good luck, and thanks for watching.